Hey everyone, welcome back to Crull Me Maybe. Kelly Crull here alongside, we call him John Michaels, but we're going to get into that because I've been told it's a stage name. However,
no, we're not.
This is the first time that I get to have my colleague, my friend, John on here, and we have talked to Brian Fennerin, if you missed that episode, home team, and at the very beginning, Matt Chernoff was on, so number 4, and we're trying to get out all the kinks before I bring on like the big guns like you. So the deal
I was gonna
is,
say when Chipper comes in and when Austin Riley comes, those are the big guns.
The deal is, I'm playing this out. The whole Crull Me Maybe came from Calling. We're playing off Calling, but of course everybody knows the song as well.
I knew the dance, wasn't I?
Well done.
Yeah.
But I like to go through the icebreaker of actually having you pick up the phone and call 10-year-old John and tell him what he has to look forward to. Tell him what he's gonna hit some road bumps along the way, but what he should keep doing.
Can I speak with John? What's up, buddy? All right, first and foremost, go to school. Stop skipping school. Because here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you now. Skipping school to go to the beach when you're in high school sounds great. But when you want to go to the University of Miami and they tell you it costs $65,000, which by the way is $100,000 now, but they tell you it costs $65,000 and you're only going to get about $12,000, maybe $20,000 in grants, and you got to come out of pocket 40 G's, it's not going to work. Go to class, study, get an A, maybe even get a B. Maybe things like that will happen. Rejection is going to happen when it comes to football or anything else. Live with it, deal with it. Do whatever mom says. Mom knows best. You'll learn that along the lines. You got to do that. And understand that sports, they are going to be your life. So everything you're doing there is perfectly fine. Also, when coaches say go to the gym and actually lift a weight, you may want to do that. And drinking a gallon of soda every day, it's not good for you. Those are words to live by Uncle John. Thank you.
That was so good. So take us back to 10-year-old John is skipping a few classes here and there, and loving the beach.
Yeah.
And what was he like as a kid?
Mischievous, shocking that I may have been a little bit crazy and outlandish. A lot of not telling the truth. So my parents were separated when I was really young. My dad left at 4 or 5 years old. So it was just me and my mother. My brother's 10. You probably didn't know I had a brother.
That's what we're learning.
Yeah,
we're learning about the man behind the mic.
I have a brother who's 10 years younger than me. Him and I are close, but not that close, to be honest with you. We see each other once a year at the most. So 10-year-old John was at home with my mom. My mom was working 2 jobs, trying to survive, doing whatever we could. And there was a lot of times that I was responsible for myself. In the 80s, you could do those things. Yes. You left your kid at home. Hey, there's something in the oven. Go ahead and heat that up and go ahead and eat. There was no microwaves, nothing like that. Ride your bike back and forth to school. Well, that turned into, you know what? She's not here. I don't really need to go. The problem was back then, teachers would call and be like, hey, why weren't you here? So I found that out. And there was a lot of times, back then it was mischievous as in, trying to prove that I'm a man. We played a lot of sports in the streets, whether it was football. I was really big into football more than anything else. A lot of fights. You get into fights with all your friends. You hate them for an hour, and then an hour later, they're your best friend again. You got a black eye and go, I really didn't appreciate that. But we're good. So that was where it was. Sports was always my love, though. Like sports, I guess, being even at 10 years old was my outlet.
Your passion, yeah.
And I tell everybody, there's a lot of people who go, why do you love Miami so much? Why do you love the University of Miami? So in the 80s in South Florida, there was no Miami Heat, there was no Miami Marlins. It was the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Dolphins. Okay. That was it. My grandfather, and I've told this story on the air before.
And you were South Miami-ish.
We lived in Miami, we lived in Fort Lauderdale, and I actually went to high school in West Palm. So we kept moving north. My grandfather lived in Davie, which is like a western suburb of Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
He lived there from the 40s on. So his house he bought in the 40s, and until he passed away, they had kind of the same house for a long time. He's the one that made me love Miami football. He used to sneak into games. There was an old chain link fence at the Orange Bowl. He'd sneak in the 50s and 60s and go watch Miami play. So he made me watch. And I always tell people, Miami kept me out of trouble. When my friends were, we might go steal something at the corner store, I was home watching Miami and Florida State. So that's how I ended up loving them, and I've, kind of carried that love to 50 years. The Dolphins I cared about, but they never felt like the hometown team because all the guys were from other places. Like I love Dan Marino. I got to meet Don Shula. Great guys, but they were from other places. Like the Miami guys were from Miami. They were kids you watched in high school or in middle school, and you go, oh my God, this guy's going to play somewhere. So that's how I ended up loving football the way that I did. And I always say it really kept me out of trouble. It gave me something to look forward to. I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to try drugs. It was like, I want to play football. I want to go to the U. Wasn't good enough. I was too slow. I was too small, whatever at the time. But, that was the dream.
But you mentioned your mother. What was mom like? How did mom do her best to keep you in line, keep you and your brother on the straight and narrow?
So she did get remarried, and my brother's actually my half brother.
Okay.
So she had a child from another dude. That sort of gave me a family, I don't know, bond, because the guy had 2 other kids. So I had 2 stepsisters and then my brother. And then all of a sudden I go from being an only child to being in a house of 4, which actually where I really went sideways, because now I rebelled of having more people in the house.
So you needed the attention.
Of course.
We're getting it.
Same way now, I need the attention. We're on a show with 4 people, I need the attention. But yeah, mom did best because I was her spoiled oldest child. So whatever she had, I got. My grandparents, who I was really close with on my mother's side, they lived, again, 10, 15 minutes from me. I spent a lot of time staying at their house. Mom working 2 jobs. Hey, on the weekends, you're going to go stay with your grandmother and grandfather. And they had, if you know Davie, like now you couldn't buy what they had. They had 3.5 acres of property because they bought it in the 40s.
Wow.
They had a swimming pool, which as a kid,
fancy.
My grandparents were just like, go swim. And they had a canal that ran across their front yard. So my day was fishing, swimming, and then I would play football by myself in the backyard. I literally would have a football, throw it up, run and go catch it. That's where I learned to kick. Where I learned to punt. I would just do things kind of by myself. But mom did anything she could. Like I still talk to my mom to this day. Like really close. We talk 3 or 4 days a week. But she was one that was always there, and this is why I try to pass along to my kids. We're always at their games. Like I knew what it was like to look up in the crowd and go, all right, mom's here. My dad was never there. He was just off doing his own thing, racing cars and doing whatever. But mom was the mom that was there. Whether we had $2 or $2,000, I never knew. There were times, we ate eggs for dinner. We had peanut butter and jelly for dinner because that's all we had. But it gave me an appreciation as I grew up to want to go to Hibachi with Road Dogg, to want to sit on the rooftop bar with Finn and, buy $35 drinks, which we never could have thought of. But she was always there, and that's why we were the closest.
And I want to get to that so that we can backtrack. But you mentioned to yourself, you're going to face some rejection, and you got to keep pushing through. So what was the plan when you wanted to go to Miami? What was it you wanted to go down there for, aside from clearly playing any sport you could, which I want to also get into what your favorite one is because you have so many that you were good at. But let's start with what the plan was with Miami.
So understand, this is pre-internet. I have no idea how college works. My mother did not go to college. My dad didn't go to college. My mom went and got a nursing degree later through a nursing school, but my dad was a car mechanic. He learned to fix cars in the 60s with a buddy of his and turned it into his own shop.
Trade, yeah.
He actually built the Miss Budweiser race boat, which a lot of people don't know.
That's awesome.
He was their lead mechanic for a long time, and then he didn't do that. My mom was she was a dental hygienist. She worked at AT&T. Like, it was whatever job she could get. And then when I got into high school, she decided, like, I can't keep working these jobs and with no skill. And she went and got a nursing degree, and she's been a nurse ever since. Wow. Rejection from Miami. I got accepted to Miami. But again, pre-internet, I thought it was, you got accepted, you just go to school. I thought it was free. And they send this thing back and they go, I think I got $30,000 in grants. And it was going to be $35,000 a year out of pocket to go there. I wasn't good enough to get a scholarship, obviously. I didn't have good enough grades to get a scholarship. And my mom looks at this and goes, I don't make $35,000 a year. Like, you're not going to Miami. Huh. All right, now how am I going to do this? So I went to originally Palm Beach Community College, which I flunked out in one semester.
Because didn't go?
My first class was basketball. So you had an elective, and then I had like 4 classes after that. Well, as an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old, whatever I was, I think I was 18, I went to basketball, And then I just wouldn't leave. I would just sit and hoop for 5 hours, and I'd look up and I go, I missed class.
Whoopsies.
Again, not realizing that college has your money. They don't give a damn if you go or not. So I flunked out there.
So you weren't really thinking major at the time. You weren't really thinking future career at the time. You were thinking, let's play hoops.
Yeah, I was like, I hoop in the afternoon at Camellia Park in West Palm Beach, or Gun Club Park in West Palm Beach. And I was like, I could just hoop more during the day. So it was like 10 hours of basketball. And I'll tell you the funny story. Speaking of that, how I flunk out of Palm Beach Community College. I stay home for like a year and a half, and I'm not into the best stuff. Not going to document whatever. Just say I was your typical mischievous 18-year-old trying to make money any way I could.
Sure.
But at the time, I go, I want to get into broadcasting because I always used to listen.
So this is a turning point to a degree from what you've said. Up to this point, you hadn't really thought beyond too much of just enjoying the moment and stuff.
Sure.
Which I love this story about you because this is relatable, John, to so many people out there who at 18 don't know what they want to do yet. And eventually you may end up in this industry or other industries because that's just the path you kind of fall into. Not everybody has it figured out like home team did at 10 years old, calling games at home. But that's why I love your story so much. And so that is a point at which in that year and a half after Palm Beach College, all of a sudden you start to think, maybe I want to get into broadcasting.
Well, I start getting to, I'm now 19. I'm not in high school. I'm working at Winn-Dixie as a bag boy, making $4.25 an hour, which is what minimum wage was back then. Yeah, right. And my mom keeps going like, you're not going to keep living at my house. And I said, you know what? I love broadcasting. I always used to listen to games.
Sure.
TV wasn't the same. And I'm really good friends with Miami's play-by-play guy, Joe Zagacki, who I used to listen to as a teenager, which was crazy. I'd go on the roof of my house, the only place I could get reception, and I would listen. So I go, you know what? I want to get into broadcasting. And they had a school called the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Okay.
I didn't realize when you showed up it was an interview. I thought it was just, hey, I went to Gun Club Park. I played about 3 hours of basketball.
Of course.
I have on a sleeveless shirt like Domino used to wear. And I show up to this place. Everybody's in suit and tie. And my mom looks at me and my mom could stare through glass. Like she's a maniac like I am. And I say that in the most respectful way. But you know when you piss her off, there's problems. She looks at me and she's like, taking those deep breaths, like you're embarrassing me as my child. So the guy talks to me and goes, would you like to come to this school? And I go, yeah. He goes, it would be nice if you would have dressed for the occasion. And I also had long braids. I had like,
oh, wow.
So I had braided hair.
I hope we can find one of those
pictures. There's no pictures. I've looked.
Our producer here we can throw that up and show you what John Michaels used to look
like. Look
at
my son Kane. I looked like him. I was skinny and I had braids. So anyway, they basically said, we won't accept you because you're not even dressed the part. So there was rejection number 2. So after that, my best friend.
But a learning moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Huge.
And my mom was like, cut those stupid braids off your head, whatever. And it's actually how I cut my hair the first time. She was so mad. Anyway, this was like January of '94. My best friend, a guy named Trent Riley, may he rest in peace, had got recruited to Texas College, which again, I knew nothing about, to play basketball.
Okay.
He goes, dude, just come here. He goes, there's like 30 guys from Florida here. We all get along really close. He goes, you'll like it. Now, mind you, no internet. I know nothing about the school. It's Texas College. All right, I'll apply. I call the school. They mail me an application, 1-page application, says nothing about the school. I mail it back. I send my transcript. You're accepted. Cool. Now my mom's excited. You're going to college. Now, I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida at the time. This is Tyler, Texas. Yes. I've never been anywhere other than, I think I went to Pennsylvania once with my grandparents, maybe New York once, but I've really only been in Florida. I have no idea what Texas is.
Huge culture shock, right?
Or where I'm going.
Tyler.
I also don't know this is a historically black college.
Okay.
Trent fails to mention this because anybody that knows me, I don't care the color of your skin. Like people are people. And I grew up around multicultural.
Very diverse culture. Yes.
So long story short, August comes around. I drive with my mother from West Palm Beach to Tyler, Texas.
Oh boy.
Again, I know nothing about the school.
Oh boy.
We have the old Rand McNally map, like turning the pages.
So cool.
All right, we're going to go through here. It's like a 21-hour drive. So it's like you drive 3 hours, I'm going to sleep. She drive 3 hours, I'm going to sleep. We went back and forth. We get off the exit, and I go, where the hell are we? In not so nice terms. Get off this exit, and we're driving. It's like 10 miles off I-20. You get into Tyler, Texas. And soon as we pull, I'm like, we're in the hood. Like, I've been in the hood. I know the hood. We're in the hood. Texas College, love you to death. I spent 4 years there. So me to not have my mom go to the school, I said, hey, Mom, I don't want to be the freshman that shows up with Mom. I'm going to take you to the hotel we've already booked. And she was fine with that.
Okay.
I want to go check into the school. So I pull in, and everybody's kind of looking at me like, you sure you're in the right place? I go, yeah, I'm John, I'm from Florida. And I said, my brother is Trent. Trent was my best friend. Oh, you're John. We know all about you. You got your room. I go unload all my stuff. I drive back, pick up my mom. We leave. Now, mind you, I still don't know it's an HBCU. I just know there were no white kids when I was there at the time. We leave and go to Denver. My mom wanted to move to Denver, and now that I was leaving, she was going to move out there. We went and spent a week in Denver. So then we drive back from Denver. I drop her off at Dallas Airport, and I drive back to Texas College. I get there. Now Trent's there, because Trent wasn't there at the time because it was only a freshman.
Sure.
And we're in the room, and he's introduced me to all the dudes from Florida, and I can tell I'm going to fit in. And we sit in the room that night, and I go, bro, there's no white people here. Not that I cared. He goes, oh, I didn't think you cared. He goes, yeah, this is all black college. I go, all right. My mom still doesn't know. She gets home. I have to call her, because back then, again, no cell phone, no,
sure.
collect call, whatever. And I tell her, and she goes, if you want to come home, you can come home. I go, nah, I'm going to stick it out. I want to at least try a semester. It's my first time leaving home. And I walk onto the basketball team, make it. I walk onto the baseball team, make it. I ended up being an all-conference player. Baseball for 3 years. I was MVP of the school 2 of the years. I was pretty good. Basketball, I played for a little bit. I wasn't getting a lot of time. I ended up playing semi-pro with Pat Mahomes Sr.
No way.
Hand to God. Pat Mahomes is from Tyler, Texas.
Yes, of course.
Pat Jr. is from Tyler, Texas. So I met the MVP quarterback when he was a baby. I think he was born in 95 or 96. I played with his dad 2 years in a semi-pro league there. So I ended up, long story short, spent 4 years in Texas, and then I moved here.
Okay. So in a small way, one of my biggest takeaways from that story is that Trent helped you find Texas.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That college, that college, then kind of you started to what? Look into some broadcasting classes?
Nope.
Nothing.
I was a phys ed major.
You just played.
No, I wanted to coach.
And yeah, okay, so you wanted to coach. That was plan A?
That was plan A.
Okay.
So I went for 4 years, and I got my phys ed stuff done. And I moved here. I was dating a girl from Florida who came up.
Wondering the transition.
She came up here to go to Georgia State, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to go back to Florida and be in the same element that I was before, because I knew what was going to happen. I was going to be in the streets. I was going to be doing stupid things. Came here, and the first place I called to get a potential high school coaching job, they were going to pay me $5,000 a year. Who the hell can survive on that?
Wow.
So the coaching dream, and this was going to be
I'm so glad you went there, because we've been asking most people on the podcast, like, if those who watched find it entertaining, what first jobs per year salaries were. And it's wild when you hear it. Mine was $17,500.
Right.
But I was doing broadcasting.
Right.
And like at a legit television station. And you don't get into this industry to go after money.
No.
You don't get into phys ed to go after money, but $5,000 is a rough estimate.
Yeah, especially I moved here with $1,000 to my name, and it was like, all right, I got to get a job that's making some. So that was out the window. So ended up getting into the transportation industry.
Okay.
Just found a job online, or not even online, in the back of the AJC. Applied for this, got the job with little to no experience, and it was really just answering the phone and writing some stuff, but parlayed that into the transportation industry. Never even looked to get back into coaching. Because at the time I was like, oh, I'm making $27,000, I'm rich.
Yeah.
I got a raise to $31,000, oh, I'm rich. I wasn't. And in 2003, one of my best friends now, a guy named Jamal, got an internship at the now defunct 790 The Zone.
Okay.
And he goes, you know more about sports than any person I've ever met in my life. Because all I did was read the sports page and whatever. Even when I'm working in transportation, right? By now there's an internet, and I'm like, oh, I could read about what Miami's doing. And we were good. 2001, we had the greatest college football team ever, and we won our 5th national title. And, that's all I wanted to read about. And he went to sports bars with me, and people would come ask me, and he just quizzed me down. 6 months of hanging around 790, I got an unpaid internship.
Okay.
They were like, we fired 3 interns. Can you start tomorrow? This is a true story. Can you start tomorrow? Cody Hicks.
We only do true stories here on Crull Me Maybe.
He was the promotions manager. He goes, you're around, you like Jamal, you're hired. I literally started the next day. My first on-site promo was with Chris Cotter, who now works at ESPN, and Matt Chernoff.
No way.
I used to listen to Nick and Chris and Steak and Mike Bell, and I know they work at the other station, God forgive, Dave Archer. I listened to all these guys, and now all of a sudden I'm in a building with them, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna get a chance to like work with these dudes. And Matt Chernoff and Chris Carter called me House. I'm like, what does that mean? They go, you look like the lead singer from House of Pain. Because I had a bald head, and at the time I just had a goatee. And for like the first year, they called me House. Nobody knew my name. I was just John, whatever. And about 6 months into it, Matt Edgar, who was the program director at the time, who still works here at 680 The Fan, we used to burn CDs and put them on his desk. And he comes by and goes, Matt Edgar voice, hey, John, you and Jamal, I like how you signed. You guys are on Thursday night. I'm not paying you. You're just going on. And we did a college football show. Needless to say, I love college football. The second time I was on the air, I probably should have got fired. Jamal had now been elevated to producer status. And there was a post-game Falcon show. We weren't the flagship. We just did our own post-game Falcon show. Bobby Hebert and Doug Stewart were the show. And it was a road game. It was like a road 4 o'clock game in New York. They would do it in studio. And I'd come in and help cut up sound, whatever. Matt Edgar didn't want me on the air. He did, but he didn't. And Doug Stewart gets in a car accident like 10 minutes before the show, calls Jamal and goes, and it wasn't bad. It was just, he goes, dude, I'm going to be like an hour late. And it's Bobby Hebert, Justin Hanover doing updates. A guy named Sam Radin, who ended up being an attorney, great dude, was running the board. And Jamal looks at me, instead of he should have just put Justin Hanover in. He goes, Justin, you're going to run point. Bobby Hebert will be color. John, you're in as well. What do you mean I'm in? I said, the first segment, I don't say a word. I'm just sitting, looking up in the air. Bobby Hebert knew me, and Bobby goes, hey, man, you know football, just talk. Second segment, we come back, I start talking. And I guess Matt Edgar calls Jamal and goes, who in the hell is on my air right now? Jamal goes, John, the guy you had me do the show with, he goes, promotions, John? He goes, if he says something bad, you're both fired, and hangs up the phone. Jamal doesn't tell me. So I do probably 45 minutes, and then Doug shows up, and now there's no need for me. Afterwards, Jamal tells me what happened. It's like, holy crap. Fast forward, 20 years later, here I am. But that's how I got my start in radio. I got my start on the Falcons sideline. It's funny. They get the flagship at 790, and I think they went down the list of every full-time person. Steak, Nick, Chris, Chernoff. I think Chuck might have still been there. And everybody was like, we got kids, we're married, we don't want to travel. I must have been option 14. Hey, do you want to travel and work with the Falcons? I was like, hell yeah. And that's how I ended up being the Falcons sideline reporter. And I ended up being really close with Dave and Wes and the late, great Miller Pope. And 9 years on the sideline, I got to work a Super Bowl. I mean, there was a lot that just kind of fell into place to be where I'm at.
But you've worked really hard at it. And I think now, because I know you're tight on time, as you reflect back on your career up to this point, what stands out as what you're most either grateful for or most surprised by, still looking forward to?
Most grateful is every day. I never feel like I'm coming to work. Like I wake up in the morning, I get to work with y'all. We BS about sports. We talk about each other's lives. It's not a job. It is a job. Obviously, we work hard. People that say, oh, I could do that. It's not as easy as you think to come in and do 4 hours. I'm blessed to work with people that I actually get along with. 20 years, I've never had anybody that I didn't like. Like even in my time at 92.9, Rick Kamla and Mark Owens and Paul Bible, we had a friendship that stands to this day. Like we had great 5 years working there. So every day I'm blessed to do this. What I'm most surprised by is the passion that people have. Like there is no middle ground with sports talk hosts. No. They either love you or they hate you. There's zero in between, like literally no in between. I have people to this day that hate me. I don't know why. I've never met them. They hate that I named my son after a football team. I've had my wife threaten people. You talk about our child again, we're going to find you.
She goes after him.
Oh,
That's right.
But I'm surprised. I never thought there was that much passion. I thought it was like you just listened to the radio. Yeah, I got the Auburn fans right now who want to kill me over. I just gave my opinion.
So much I want to get into it.
Oh, we got 7 or 8 more minutes. I got some more time. We'll make this good, and I'll come back another time to get more into it.
I know, because we haven't even gotten to music. I actually had some people reach out before this podcast just to say I want to talk about John Michael's selection in music, which is very very eclectic. I mean, you've got quite a bit of.
So hold on.
on.
Well, since you're going down that, I'll give you an idea. I never liked rock music growing up. Never. My mom was listening to Moody Blues and The Doors, and I'd be in the car like, oh, what is this? Hip hop was my thing from the mid '80s. I got Run DMC's "Raising Hell" on tape, and I listened to that tape until it broke. It was a tape.
Cassette tape.
I'll never forget getting Two Live Crew. Now, I couldn't go buy Two Live Crew because I was like, I think they came out in '86. I maybe was 12. But you had a friend who had a friend, and back then you would go dub the tape. So I erased what was on the tape, and I had my old Walkman, and I'm listening to it. My mom goes, I want to hear your music, and grabs it. And I'm like, no. She goes, no, let's listen to it, and pops in Two Live Crew. And if you know the song, Hey, We Want... My mom looks at me and ejects it and just throws the tape at me and goes, what is that? But it was the music, it was just the culture of South Florida. So it was Two Live Crew, it was Uncle Al, it was, and it grew into more hip hop, obviously Biggie and Tupac and Ghetto Boys, but that's what I listened to. My mom did like R&B, and she introduced me to R&B. My mom used to tell the story, her and my dad in the 70s would go see Earth, Wind, and Fire. Mm-hmm. And she would be like, we'd be the only white people in the concert, but we love the music. So she introduced me to Earth, Wind, and Fire, and from that it was Keith Sweat, and it was R. Kelly, and I know it's politically incorrect to say R. Kelly. The man was a genius musically. He's a dirtbag off. But that was the music I listened to. I used to listen to a station called 99 Jams in Miami, and it's still there. All they played was hip-hop and R&B. As I got older, I never bought a rock tape until Nirvana's Nevermind came out. And then when that came out, I think I was a senior in high school. I was like, dude, this is different. But that was it. It was Nevermind. It was Nirvana, and that's it. So when I went to college, going to an HBCU, nobody was listening to rock. Nobody was listening to country. The next rock I ever bought, and I'm not even sure they're rock, was Limp Bizkit in Linkin Park. And I've seen Linkin Park in concert a couple of times. Like, I grew to like different music as I got older, but it's still, I'm listening to Rod Wave, I'm listening to Lil Baby, I'm listening to Big X The Plug, who has a new album that dropped today. Country mix, so a little bit of everything. But it was just the culture of South Florida was so different. And that my wife, as listeners have told me, they don't care that my wife's Latina. Guess what? She's a beautiful Latina. Don't be jealous. I'm sorry. My wife's hot. I got lucky. I don't know why she likes me, but she does. Because of being around her, I always had a Spanish influence in Florida, but her family's full-blooded Nicaraguan. So we listen to a lot of Spanish music. And I love Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's better than anybody that's out right now. Don't understand a word he says, but he's really, really good.
Yeah. I usually do a rapid fire of sorts to kind of end and wrap things up. But let's stick with the music theme a bit and go with greatest rapper of all time.
Ooh.
In your mind.
It's Biggie. The way that he could tell stories. Yeah. You can go back, like I use my kids as an example. They won't listen to a lot of my old music because they're like, Dad, we're old. But you'll put on Biggie and they go, dude, he just tells a story. And the way he put words together, obviously life cut too short. However, that may have gone down the tragic murder that he dealt with. But to me, he's the greatest. Tupac may have had the greatest influence of anybody because he didn't give a damn about who he offended. He told us, he was a prophet. He told us so many things that were going to happen that did happen. And again, his life was taken too short. So those were my those two, Me Too are the two greatest. They may not be my favorites, but they're the greatest.
They're the greatest. Best concert you've ever been to?
Oh man, Birthday Bash 2004 right here in Atlanta when the crunk scene was going on. 790, somehow we got the 4 box seats. Wow. And it was 8 Ball and MJG, it was Lil Jon, it was T.I. Lakewood Amphitheater was packed. And then we left there and went to the greatest club of all time, Club 112. But that's the greatest concert I ever went to. I had a t-shirt about down there. That's when the tall tees were in. I think I had like some 7XL shorts on. It was the most ridiculous look ever, but it was an awesome concert.
We're going to find that too. If you could only listen to one song on repeat forever, what song would it be?
Oh my goodness. One song on repeat forever.
Like if that's the only song you could ever listen to, music was taken from us, but you got to choose one song.
It would either be Keith Sweat's Right in a Wrong Way or Biggie's Juicy.
Oh, wow.
We were just in the Dominican. I did drunk karaoke. I did Rick Ross Hustlin', and then I followed it up with Biggie's Juicy. I can do Biggie's Juicy literally without looking at the lyrics.
I believe it.
But yeah.
I believe it. The whole performance too, probably.
No, well, Biggie didn't do much. It was kind of a thing. It's tough. There was a second concert I went to. Virginia Key Beach, 1995. We got to see Outkast, Adina Howard, Uncle Luke, Uncle Al, which none of you would know who he is, Ghetto Style DJs, Wu-Tang Clan, and Biggie. On the beach in Miami in 1995.
That's quite a
So yeah, those two concerts were ridiculous.
I'm glad you went back to that. And last but not least, because you're so good at so many, but do you have a favorite sport?
It's football, and it's not even close.
All the way. Even playing for yourself, was it always football?
Yes. I didn't touch a basketball until I was in 9th grade.
Okay.
And the only reason I touched a basketball is because my friends, like back then there was seasonal. It was football was from August to November. November to February was basketball. February to May was baseball. And you didn't do anything in the summer. Like if you played those sports growing up in Florida, that's when you played. Because we had great weather, everybody played basketball during the week. And once I got older and was old enough to kind of navigate and get around myself, people didn't want to play football. Like football season ended, we played tackle football with pads on, but then when football ended, there was none of this 7-on-7 BS. It was you went to the park and played basketball. Sure. So I had to learn to play, which is why it's crazy that I played in college. I still can't dribble very well. I could only dribble right hand. I could cross, but I didn't have great hand. But I learned to shoot. The easiest skill to learn on my own was shooting. I told anybody want to come? We put $100, we get on the three-point line, and we shoot all day.
There you go.
So, and baseball is funny. I only played 1 year of baseball ever. Naturally, I think I was the most gifted at baseball. I played 1 year of park baseball when I was 14. And then when I got to college, I go, I'll walk onto the baseball team. I was pretty good. And I played center field, and I was so fast. People won't believe it because I'm a big dude now. I led our conference in storm base. Only white kid in the whole conference. 3 of the 4 years, and the only reason I didn't lead my freshman year, my grandmother passed away and I missed half the season. But outside of that, they knew. They were like, the white guy gets on base, he's out of there. I was going to steal base.
Look out for the white guy whose last name on your jersey was...
There was no last names. We didn't have names on the back of our jerseys.
I tried to circle back, and I thought I'd slide it in there where you might accidentally through storytelling.
So look, I'll tell you, there are stage names. Anybody that knows me, I'm John Michaels. That's all you ever need to know. The people that know me best know the name I grew up with. If you ever look at my son, you could figure out what the last name is. Let's just say I have a very difficult real last name to say, and it never was going to work. The first show I ever did, Sam Radin, who I'm still friends with to this day, he goes, you got to come up with a name. He goes, you can't use your real name because nobody will ever remember it. But yeah, it's been a hell of a journey to be here, and yeah, it's crazy to think that I get paid to talk about sports every day and that anybody would give a damn to see me on a podcast.
We're pretty blessed. That's what I was going to say. Thanks for stopping back.
Of course.
By the Crull Me Maybe. And I feel like we just scratched the surface, but we did get to learn a lot.
Well, we got to do this again. Like, I don't mind. If anybody knows, I'm a very open book. I don't mind telling my life story. Like, I've done stuff talking to high school kids, and obviously you guys hear me coach now.
Yeah.
A lot of what I tell them is based off what I went through. I'm like, dude, a 2.3, a 2.5 ain't getting you nowhere. In 92, it may have. In 2025, when schools know everything, get your grades. And let's be real, in high school, all you got to do now is sit in the class and put your phone away. They're going to pass you. You're going to get a 3.0. You don't have to do anything.
You have a lot of advice to offer,
I
though,
do.
and a remarkable journey. And again, I'm just glad we got to do this today, and I will continue to do this now. You've gotten to hear from all my teammates in the locker room, and we're going to go down through the list. Who do you think's... I told people, I don't know if Chuck will even do this. I'm not so sure he'll sit down with me,
I don't know.
But I'm going to try.
You may need about 2 hours for Nick and Chris.
That's what I'm thinking,
it may
too.
take a while.
But we'll do double takes, because I know you got to run. Again, Thank you so much for tuning in to Crull Me Maybe. This is John Michaels, and I'm Kelly Crull. We'll see you again soon.